All right, we're live.
Great. Thanks, Dan. Good evening, everyone. It's Monday, June 3rd, 2024. It's 6:01 in the evening. This is a special meeting of the Weston Board of Education. The meeting is remote, and it's being recorded. We have a quorum. The next item on the agenda is a discussion and an approval of the in-district transportation contract and a recommendation. Phil, do you want to do this?
Yes, thank you, Steve. Good evening, everyone. So I think it's safe to say that we are at the end of our discussions regarding transportation, especially in-district transportation. So we did mention during the budget process that we will be issuing RFPs for transportation. We did that, and we had two companies responded. We had DATCO, and we have our incumbent First Student that responded. So we had a committee made up of Steve, Michael Guido, Lisa, Mark Berkowitz, and myself. And we pretty much met with those two companies just to review the details of their response. I would say that during that discussion, we came away feeling very confident with First Student. First Student presentation was more in depth. They gave us information not only regarding not only regarding Weston and their commitment to Weston, but also about their general industry and how things are progressive. You know, they spoke quite intensively, and there was a strong back and forth between the committee and First Student. You know, when we got to talking about EVs, so they have a strong EV presence both in the U.S. and Canada. Currently they have over 352 deployed buses. In addition to that, as I mentioned, they have received an award by the National Student Transportation Authority that awarded this for their innovation in terms of their EV infrastructure. And what this EV infrastructure is pretty much taking a Connex box and pretty much putting all the infrastructure there that will power the EVs. So that's where they are in terms of EV, and that's one of the reasons why we do feel strongly in recommending First Student as being that First Student continue to be the provider for our transportation. You know, if we talk about where we are currently in terms of being in district, if we continue to be with First Student, that's going to significantly minimize disruption that we could potentially face by moving with a new provider. It's we've spoken at length about the shortages that we are seeing nationwide for bus drivers. There's no guarantee that if we went with another company, that the bus driver, including the management, that it will carry forward or move with this new company. Right now, where we are with the leadership there, the staff morale is extremely high, and the drivers are definitely committed to being in Weston. I think we have seen that when the drivers come here, more than likely they do remain with Weston. We have drivers that have been here for I guess over 5 years, some maybe close to 10. So with all of that tied into the cost as well, where when you compare it First Student to DATCO, they're pretty much the same. We are recommending that we continue or we award this contract to First Student.
So what do we add a bit to that about the process, Phil? You know, and compliments to you on how you conducted the process. Put the contract out for bid. We formed a committee. Michael and I were on it. The bids came in, and there were two bidders: DATCO, which is primarily a Connecticut-based company, and then First Student, the incumbent. Phil then went back to both companies, invited them to come in, meet with the committee directly, which they did, and then give us their best and final offer. So I think in the end, Phil, I don't know if you've calculated how much money we saved from bid one to bid two, but we definitely saved some money. And most importantly, we learned a lot. We asked the question about, I think, excuse me, I think everyone knows that the state of Connecticut is mandating that school buses be electrified by 2035, I think is the date. So we asked both companies about that. The individual for student went into a very long discussion, educational discussion on where that whole process is currently, and this is something the board will have to start thinking about. That even despite the fact that the mandated date is almost 10 years from now, a little less than 10 years from now, he took us through the grants that are available, and his recommendation was that you start progressively electrifying your buses to take advantage of the grants that are outstanding, which certainly one doesn't know if they're going to be there in 10 years, as well as just getting the buses, because the buses are, I can't remember what he said, for like 2.5 times the price of a diesel powered bus. We asked the question about, since there is a consideration on the town side, about moving the bus depot, and if we were to do this and provide whatever the equipment is necessary to provide electric power to the buses, how transportable is that? And he described what the units look like, how many buses they can power, and in fact, it is transportable. So if we were to make the capital investment, stay at the bus depot for some period of time, and subsequently move it in the future, that equipment can move with it. So I think, and then we talked amongst ourselves, and there's a cost to switching from company A to company B, and there's a familiarity that children have with their bus driver. Michael brought that up in his questioning, and so cost is certainly important, and cost is very competitive here. But there's the knowledge of the town, both from an administrative point of view, and most importantly from how children interact with the school bus drivers. So the recommendation we made was based on a number of factors, and not just financial. Is that fair, Phil? I mean, did I sum it up?
Yes, you did.
There we go. So open the floor for questions.
I have a question. Phil, is there anything in the contract for failure to perform? And more specifically, I'm asking about, what we've seen over the last couple of years, which are the combined routes. And I think I may have been the one that asked the question, do we get a credit for those combined routes? And you said yes, but I never formally asked you, is a certain dollar amount for each combined route? So just on a move forward basis, as part of the new contract, is there wording in the contract for failure to perform? Specifically, there might be others, but specifically for when we have the driver shortage and routes have to get combined, is there a credit that's predefined in the contract for each year when a route gets combined?
Are you referring to cost above the daily cost of that bus?
Well, I think what I'm asking is, the contract is for X number of buses to run Y number of routes, right? And when we have a driver, I believe the vast majority of the reasons we've had bus routes combined is because of a driver shortage.
Right. So those are all the credits that you have seen in the past, and that's primarily tied into the daily cost of running that bus. So if that's what you're referring to, if that language is not clear right now in the contract, we'll ensure that is very explicit. But it's no different from what's currently in place now, David.
So, okay, so there is, because we don't, just, for those that might be watching, we don't have a copy of the full contract. So in the contract that's ultimately executed, there will be some language for essentially their failure to perform if they do combine bus routes. Like the question really is, I understand they gave credits in the past, but did they give credits in the past because that was the right thing to do, or
No.
because the contract compelled them to do so?
Because of the contract. So as I said, the cost that we're getting for a combined run, for each combined run has to relate to the daily cost of that thing. So if a route is not being operated, we don't get charged for that. Or because we are paying in advance and we do take advantage of our prepayment, the benefit of our prepayment, the credit comes to us on the back end. And I think during the budget discussion, you pointed that out. And you did point out that we should actually add money to to our budget to account for that combined run. But just wanted to point out, we are in a much better place than many other districts. Not saying that's not going to change in terms of where we are currently from a staffing perspective. As it stands right now, there's about 27 or so dedicated drivers to Weston. We have 21 rounds, right? So having those drivers in place is a big deal. Many other districts are struggling with that, and so we're in a good place, and we hope this will continue for the start of the new fiscal year 24-25.
David, does that address your question?
Yes.
Great, thanks. Questions from other members of the board, or David, if you have more?
That's it.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I don't have any questions, but just an observation. It sounds as if you are very thorough in the entire process, as you mentioned, Steve. And Michael, I'm glad that you were part of the committee as well, because I know that there were some concerns that you and your family have had in the past too. So I think that if you're all satisfied with the end of the negotiation, then that speaks volumes to me.
Not sure Michael's on this call, but
They'll get the recording.
yeah, we'll pass on the compliments. Anyone else? I can tell you Michael felt very good about First Student. Okay. So may I have a motion to approve the I don't see the motion here, Jody. Can is it there?
It's in board book. It's moved that the Western Board of Education award the in-district transportation contract to First Student as recommended.
Oh, there we go. Sorry.
I so move.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. There isn't anything additional on this agenda. We will adjourn and move into a well, I guess we'll adjourn and then move into an executive session.
Wait, you have to do a motion to invite me.
We haven't moved into the executive
Oh,
session.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
But I thought you had to do it before you go in, don't you?
No. When your Board of Ed meeting starts for executive session, you
All right,
make the
I'll be
motion
quiet.
to invite Lisa to be a portion of it. And then you'll be fine.
All
And
right.
Bernie will record the votes for me.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure it was done correctly. A
Yes.
recent district was fined because it's actually a FOIA violation. I don't want a problem.
Are we rolling right into the next meeting, or are we starting at 6:30?
Can I just ask one thing? Chad is here, am I correct?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so on the motion that we just voted on, it indicates that Chad is absent, but that's not the case.
Why am I freezing?
You're not freezing. We hear you.
It's just Michael. He's not here tonight.
Mhm.
If you can change that.
Thank you, Phil.
Yeah, thanks, Phil.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Thanks, Bill.
Excellent. Thank you.